Okay, class, we're going to actually create a package today and deploy a package to our client. So I'm going to connect to my SCCM server. I'm going to go in and create a folder and share that folder. This is going to be kind of like my working folder of where I keep all my source files. First thing you want to do is on the root of your C drive, create a folder called source files. Right click it, go to properties, and share it. Advanced sharing. We're going to give everyone full share permissions. Under security permissions, we're going to add the SCCM server. And give that computer account full control. Again, guys, make sure you choose check computer, otherwise you won't be able to add it. We didn't really need this because in an earlier video, I had you add this computer account to the domain admins, which is nested inside the local admins folder. But just to be sure, not everyone might have done that, add the SCCM server to this shared folder. Give me 1 second. Okay, so SCCM has full control over this folder. I'm going to click close that down. I'm going to download a piece of software. Just to keep this simple, I'm going to do 7-zip. Go to the website, and I don't like this version of 7-zip. Actually, I'm going to go back and go to the downloads folder. This is what I want. I'm going to download the MSI 64-bit. Click download. Save as. I'm going to save it right into that source file folder. So I'm going to go to my PC, C drive, go to the source file directory, create a new folder, and I'm going to call it 7-zip. Then save it in that folder. So now I have a source files folder inside of a 7-zip folder, and then that MSI package. Close this out. I'm going to go back here and back to the official site, and I'll explain this later. So now we're ready to look at our distribution point. There's one setting I want to change on our distribution point. So it automatically validates the packages that we create once a week. We created that share. This share is not what clients are going to use to do the installation from. This is the share that our distribution points will get the software. So I might have one site server and I might have 10 distribution points. The distribution points is what the clients connect to download the software. So when we create this package, the distribution points will get the package from this location. So we download the file into this folder. Once we create our package, it's going to be taken from this folder, sent to all of our distribution points. Right now, we only have one. But if we have a lot of downloads, that one server is going to get overwhelmed very quickly and cause a problem for us. So at that point, you might want to add 2 or 3 more distribution points. So software is going to go here. This is the staging area. Once it's here and we create the package, it's going to get uploaded to the distribution points. Right now, we only have one. And when a client downloads it, it's going to get it from this distribution point. I mean, from the distribution point, not from the source file folder. So I'm going to go to our distribution point. I'm going to go to administration, go to servers and site system roles, highlight our distribution point, and go to properties. Now there's some other things that we're going to do in later labs, but for right now, we're just going to leave most of it to default. Guys, this is only needed if we have a really slow link, so you can uh, pre-stage it to different distribution points. But the only thing I'm going to deal with right now, and nothing is really configured other than default setting, is under content validation, make sure that's checked. Once a week, it's going to make sure that the package is good. I might have done this by myself when I was playing around with the lab. So if it's not checked, check it. And, the boundary group should be there. It currently has 2 packages. These were during the installation. If we had multiple distribution points, we could group them into one group and then deploy to that one group. Upload a package to that one group, and then all the distribution points would have that package. Turn on multicast, especially this is good for deployment if your corporation allows it. We're going to allow Pixie Boot. When I check this, it'll install a WSUS service for us if it's not installed. If this is checked and you have WDS installed and you uncheck it, it'll remove the role automatically. So be careful with that. Unchecking it just will actually remove the entire role. And the general tab, we're just doing this HTTP. We don't have a certificate server up and running for us, so we're going to avoid the HTTPS. If you have branch cache for a remote site turned on, you can enable this and allow branch cache to work. Again, this is for a slow connection. So we'll come back to this and play with this some more. So let's add a package. Let's go to software library. We're going to right click and create a new package. If you wanted to, you could just highlight it and click create a package up here. So we're going to call it 7-zip. The description, I'm just going to pull from the website, which is right here. And the name of the manufacturer is 7-zip. Actually, I'll even put org. Language, English, and the version that we've downloaded is 1801. Right here. This package contains source files. We've already downloaded those source files. I like to call the folder source files just because of this. This is not where things are deployed from. This is just a staging area for the distribution points to get the software from. So I'm going to check the box. This will be on gray. Go to browse, and we're going to type in don't use a local path here. If you use the local path, then what's going to happen is when the distribution point tries to download the software, it won't be able to find it. Make sure you use the UNC path. I know they have this local folder here, and I think that's only good if the distribution point and the site server are on the same box, which might not always be the case. I've never played with this before, so I'm not real certain when this would come into play. So I'm putting in SCCM source files 7-zip folder. That's where our MSI is. We're going to create a standard program, and I want to call it 7-zip. Guys, there's a distinction between a package and a program. I can have a package with multiple programs in it. So once you create a package, inside of it will be a program. And I can create multiple programs in one package. So the MSI that we want to execute to actually to install the software is MSI exec. So I'm going to go to browse and I'll show you why I do this. Go to all files. I'm going to choose that MSI. So I don't have to type that whole long thing. So I'm going to type MSI exec .exe. The package name is already there. And I want to do this quiet with no GUI. These quote marks are required. If you don't have the quote marks, it doesn't work. So I'm not going to specify a startup folder. I'm going to use the default startup folder for 7-zip. It's going to run normal. Or I could even run it hidden if I wanted, because there's no GUI. If the user isn't logged in, still let it run. I'm going to run it from the UNC path, not the UNC path of the packet of the source files, the UNC path of the distribution point. Click next. I'm going to allow it to run to any platform. I could specify Windows, only Windows 10, but instead of doing this, I can make sure that I'll control this through my collection. Only 64 clients will get in that collection if I wanted to control it that way. But right now, you don't really need this because you can control it with your collection. The other thing is you can specify the disk space. So if it goes over that disk space, then you could actually have the package fail, which might be a good thing. So if there isn't enough space on the client, then let that package fail. Also, if it runs over 120 minutes, again, let that package fail. There's an issue. Click next. And our package is created. So right here's our package. Now we need to take this package and we need to send it to our distribution point. So I'm going to right click, distribute content, or I could just highlight and click it up here. If I make any changes to this package, add an additional program or something to that package, or even update the MSI file, I got to re-update the distribution point. So the first time you do a distribution content, and later if you make changes, do an update. It's real easy to forget to do this step. So don't forget to do this step. You can't deploy it unless it's been sent to a distribution point. So that's what we're doing, sending it to a distribution point. Here's the name. And which distribution point do we want to send it to? If I had a collection of distribution points, I could choose that collection. If I had a distribution point group with a bunch of distribution points in it, I could choose that. But I only have one, so I'm just going to choose the distribution point directly. So I'm only going to send it to that one distribution point. A distribution point is kind of like a share. That's all it really is. Next, close. And so if you go down to monitoring and distribution status, content status, eventually you'll see that this will go up. Right now, it's in progress. This is a relatively small package, so it won't take long for it to get to the distribution point, especially considering they're both on the same server. So I'm going to go back to software library, back to my package. Now that it's sent to a distribution point, 1 second, it might have updated since I went to the other window. Yeah, it's already at 100% compliance. So right now our distribution point has that package. So I'm going to go back to software library, right click, and deploy now. Until you deploy it, clients won't get it. This is where you can control who gets this particular software package. So I created a collection of clients already. We created that a couple videos ago. So the only thing that's going to get in here is my Windows 10 client because that's all I have. If I had Windows 10, Windows 8, 32 bits, 64 bits, I might redefine my collection. But for right now, I just created a simple collection that only look for client software, for client OSs, not server. Okay, there's my distribution point. If I wanted to add additional distribution points, I could do that as well. But for right now, we distribute it to this distribution point, and that's where we're going to pull it from. So our clients are going to connect here to get the software, not to our source files folder. Guys, if it's a package, it's just required. Later, we're going to be doing applications. You can make those available. We're just going to make this required. Um, are we going to allow it over a slow connection? Like, if they're connecting via the WAN, I'm not going to play with that right now, but you might not want to allow that, especially if it's a large package over a WAN link. Wait till they bring their laptop in before you run it. We need to schedule when this will be available. It's going to be available right now. Right now, I'm not going to expire this deployment. It's always going to be available starting from now. And once it becomes available, when do you want to assign it? We assigned it as required. So we're going to assign it immediately after this event. So basically, this is when it'll be available. This is when it'll be assigned. Rerun if it's failed. So if there's some issue, let it automatically retry to install it. If we don't want to deal with this assignment settings, well, we have to do this, but we can actually allow users to run the program independent of those assignments. I'm not going to deal with that either. And there's a certain window of time you allow software to be installed. Do we want to allow that software to be installed outside that time limit? Say you say maintenance can happen between uh, 8 o'clock in the evening till 3 in the morning. Typically, that's when software is going to get installed. We can say install software regardless of whether it's outside the maintenance window. Allow it to reboot outside of the maintenance window. Maybe you don't want to do this. Maybe you only want to allow it to be installed during the maintenance window, so that way you know your users um, aren't on their systems. The problem is if that user shuts down, they're not going to get it then. They're going to get it next time um, they log in. So you need to be careful with that maintenance window. Make sure your users allow their computers to go to sleep, not just hard shut them down. Um, this is for embedded devices. We're not going to mess with that. Okay, guys, this is really weird. I don't know why they did this, but this sentence here goes down with this. This goes up here. They're like missing a space. In the old version of SCCM, you had a big space right here. So if it's a small package, we can say run from the distribution point. If you're on a fast LAN. If it's a large package on the fast LAN, you might want them to download this stuff first, then run it locally. This is relatively small. We're just going to do it from the distribution point. At that point, we save a little bit of time because we don't have to wait for it to get downloaded, then run the installation. We can just start the installation right from the server. But what happens if you're on a slow connection? Again, you might want to say don't run the program at all until they're in a fast LAN. Or you could say download it first and then run it locally. Guys, if I choose this here or this, I'm using bits in the background to download that software to the client before executing it. So we're in a fast LAN. We don't have any slow LANs, no WAN links. So we're going to run it directly from the distribution point. It's a small piece of software. It won't cause a problem. And if they're on a fast LAN, if they're on a slow LAN, we're not going to let them run it at all. If we wanted to, we could, once a client downloaded this content, we could say share shared from each client if you're on the same subnet. We could have a fallback source as a location to download the content as well. So we're not going to deal with this. We're just dealing with this because it's a small package. We're going to run it directly from the distribution point. Save some time. Don't download it first. Click next, next, and close. So it won't be long before our client gets this software. I can go to the Software Center. I might be remembering this wrong, but I do not think packages show up in the Software Center. I think only applications. So it might never show up right here. But, and I could be wrong about that. So I'm going to go to Control Panel, go to System and Security, Configuration Manager. Guys, the server doesn't say to the client that the software package is available. Basically, the client's going to, at a scheduled period, contact the server and find out what's available. The client pulls that information, the server doesn't push it out. So I'm going to force my client to pull from the server right now. So I'm going to go to Actions, and you could run that application deployment evaluation cycle. Um, That's what we're actually trying to do right now. You could, I don't think this is it. We're doing installer source. Uh, if you want to be sure, just run them all. But I think the one that we really need to run is the top one. Give it a few minutes. It should install 7-zip here in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pause the video while it's going on. I'm still waiting for it to do the deployment, but if you go to your package and go to the deployment tab, you can see if it's compliant. Then I can keep hitting refresh. It's still 0 compliance. So I'm still giving it some time. That's how we can check if it's being deployed. Okay, guys, I'm back on my SCCM server. Hit refresh. And this isn't reporting as being installed yet. It's 0 compliance, but I know that it is. The client hasn't reported that it's installed yet. So I'm going to go to my client and click on Start. And of course, the Windows 10 glitch, you can't open that folder up, but I can click right here and 7-zip is installed. In a little bit, this client will report that it got installed, that it installed the software. The SCCM server will then report it as 100% compliance. 100% of that collection. So that collection only has one computer in it. So one computer installs it, it's 100%. If I had 10 computers in here and only one installed, that would be a 10% compliance. So I'm going to stop this video, upload it to the server, to YouTube, and then I'll move on tomorrow with creating an application. So right now we did a package, and there's some doing packages. You have to have, it's not very robust. Application, you have a lot more room. You can do a lot more things with applications than you can with packages. A lot of people don't use packages, but I still think they're useful. Okay, that's it for this video. I will do another one, hopefully on Monday.